Sunday Brunch at the Old Country Buffet by Anne Caston. Here is a genial congregation, well-fed and rosy with health and appetite, robust children in tow. They have come, and all the generations of them, to be fed. There are old ones too, who are eligible now for a small discount, having lived to a ripe age. Over the heaped and steaming plates, one by one, heads bowed, eyes closed, the blessings are said. Here there is goodwill, here peace on earth, among the leafy greens, among the fruits of the gardens of America's heartland. Here is abundance, here is the promised land of milk and honey, out of which a flank of the fatted cow, thick, still on its socket and bone, rises like a benediction over the loaves, bread, and the little fishes belly up in butter. Sunday Brunch at the Old Country Buffet was written by Anne Caston, who now lives in Alaska, when she was in Wisconsin in 1996, and was published as part of a book containing a collection of her poems called Flying Out with the Wounded. The premise of this poem is about a group of people belonging to the same religion gathering together at a buffet to share a meal. Religion's involvement can be deduced from terms such as congregation in line 1, benediction in line 15, and blessings in line 8. All of the above terms are usually performed under religious circumstances. Religion can also be deduced from the word Sunday in the poem's title, as Sunday is usually church service day. In the poem, though it is not entirely clear, the persona is most likely someone who is observing the event, possibly the author herself. And while the addressee is not entirely clear either, it can be deduced that the addressee is at the very least someone the author is describing to about the events. Possibly the author intended for the readers of this poem to be the addressee. My choice of visuals in this poem were all images depicting the exact things that the author were describing in her poem, because I felt that the author's use of imagery was so vivid, I needed to do it justice by using the exact images of the words. The poem contains enjambment in almost every line. An example of enjambment, which also happens to be my favorite, is, quote, "Here is the promised land of milk and honey." Here is the promised is in line 12, while land of milk and honey is in line 13. It is one sentence, split into two lines. The enjambment also has significance here because these two lines contain an allusion. The land of milk and honey could possibly be in reference to the Hebrew Bible's, quote, "land flowing with milk and honey," which is talking about the land of Israel's agricultural abundance. Although the agricultural abundance is most likely not in reference to the land of Israel's, because in line 11, the poem talks about America's heartland. I don't really think there is any big message in this poem rather than a simple yet vivid description of an event. Anne Caston's poem gives me a sort of comfort which is hard to describe. In lines 9 through 13, the poem mentions a lot about peace on this planet and an abundance of food, even though we know this planet is filled with conflict and hunger. But it makes me feel like during the sharing of this meal with people who share the same belief as you can block out all the outside conflicts and hunger and be temporarily ignored. A weird satisfaction. Which is why in my reading I put emphasis on words like abundance and peace, because realistically peace and abundance are very scarce around the world, as these days we struggle to overcome these issues every day. Ignorance is bliss after all. In this case, the ignorance is caused by the satisfaction of sharing a peaceful meal with those who believe in the same causes as you do. Though I doubt the author intended to have anyone interpret her words as such. These are simply my own personal thoughts rather than a literal interpretation.